I'm so sad. What is up, you guys? It's your girl Jazz, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel. As of filming this, it has almost officially been a week since the shortlist for the Webtoon 2025 Legends contest has come out. Unfortunately, Healing Hearts did not make it onto that list, and I know that has been the case with so many of you. So before I get into everything I planned, I have some notes, not fully scripted, just some ideas, because I just really wanted to get this out for everyone. But before I get into that, I did just want to say, if you are feeling really disappointed for not seeing your story up there as well, I am so sorry. Obviously I get that too. But I wanted to circle back because I've been seeing some things in the community where a lot of us are obviously feeling that disappointment and a lot of that discouragement. And I've been seeing a lot of people kind of resonating with a similar feeling of just not knowing where to go anymore, not knowing what to do with your story. You know, you put all this energy and time into this, and to not have it be kind of validated in a sort of way by being on the short list seems to have knocked a lot of people completely off of, continuing their stories, and a lot of steam has gone down. So yeah, I just wanted to talk and kind of share my thoughts and feelings on that. Because obviously I think it's super important to be able to talk through these things and to be able to feel that disappointment. But there's a little bit more to it, right? Because how do you continue to get inspired again? How do you do that? So I have, like I said, some ideas on the side that I wanted to be able to share, because it's not my first time dealing with disappointment. I don't know how many other people's first time it is, and it doesn't make it any easier. I should say that. It's not like, oh, I'm an expert in this, or I'm so far above this now I don't even feel sad. Guys, I still sit and each day I check my email and I'm delusionally thinking maybe they're gonna email me and tell me, hey, last minute we had something come up and now you are shortlisted, and we're gonna extend the time, obviously, because you have less than one less week than everybody else to work on things. Guys, I'm still delusionally thinking that could still happen. So I'm not past this in any sort of way where I'm oh, get over these feelings. I still feel very sad about it, because of course I wanted, like so many other people, to be able to progress forward, if not just to be able to say wow, I did it. That would be such a huge accomplishment. Honestly, I know it was kind of a lot to dream with that, this also being my very first webtoon. I mean, I didn't even really have obviously I didn't have a creator profile, but most of my webtoons, I pretty much just kept track of them, but I didn't really have an account itself. So it would be a lot for me to have been able to do that. And I was still hoping for it, obviously, and it didn't end up happening. And these are just kind of some of my thoughts on how I'm going to be progressing forward, and hopefully that will help to encourage you as well. And you'll also start to feel there was something worthwhile in this, because there is, and I think I've been seeing the very common sentiment going around, that's been talking about how rejection is redirection, and you have to just change up what you were doing before. And I do think there is a lot of wisdom to that. So if you've been saying that, that is not me being oh my God, you're wrong. don't say that. It's just that I actually think maybe that might be part of what's discouraging people from wanting to continue it, because you think you have to completely reinvent something now after already spending so much time working on these other things. And I don't think so. I think this is less of a call to redirect and more of a call to recenter. Because, if you're anything like me, maybe your why for, what you wanted to do for this has gotten a little lost ever since the contest came up. You may have started out being extremely clear on what you wanted to do, and knowing, exactly how you wanted your story to go. And then obviously with the deadline coming up, it just takes over. Like, I started working seriously on it. Like every day was going back to my Webtoon. I was spending hours every single day going back to it. I started doing that the day that the contest actually started. Officially submission periods opened, because I had done all my prep work, and then I decided, okay, the moment submissions open, no more prep work, no more tweaking the story or anything. We're going to buckle down and get this done. And I did. I sat down, and every single day from March 10th to May 15th, I worked on my Webtoon. I worked on finalizing the outline, and getting all of that together. I worked on storyboarding. And again, a lot of this was my first time doing that. And so being faced with all of that stuff all at once was pretty crazy, because it's just it was just all of my ideas were vastly underprepared for what I was actually supposed to do. And then of course, as time came up, I kept telling myself, I was so delusional, you guys. I started March 10th, and I was what if I just got it all done in one weekend? Do we think I can do 3 chapters in one weekend? Guys, that was so impossible. I could barely get through the sketch phase, the storyboarding phase, in a weekend. And I was just shocked, because I was oh my gosh, I didn't realize that there was so much involved in this. Already I just couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing, and was a little bit baffled by that. And then I was okay, well, I'm going to finish this by March, end of March. End of March came, and then April came. And as I mentioned in my previous debrief video, a lot of stuff really tried to take me out. I had 2 wisdom teeth surgeries. The first one for all 4, in the very beginning of the month, and then literally at the end of April, there was a complication. They had to go back in, and for a second one, it's crazy. And I was legitimately trying to figure out, why that had happened, what was going on, my teeth and everything. And, it was still working every single day, which was the hard part. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to get this done by the end of April. But then obviously April just took me out entirely. And now it was May, and I had 2 weeks to go. And even working through all of that, even with the setbacks and everything, I was down to the wire when it came to doing that. And so I know at some point in time, with all of the setbacks and with everything that had happened, I was just focused on trying to get it out. However it looked, I just wanted that to be out and that to be done. I don't know if that was everybody's experience with it, but at least for me, by the time May 15th rolled around, really May 16th, right? Because they did that last minute extension thing. But by the time May 15th rolled around, I had posted it, I was done, and there was a weird emptiness. It just felt okay, I did it. And I felt like those fish at the end of Finding Nemo, where they finally get in the water and they're now what? I did this thing, and I got to the end, my end goal, and I didn't even know what to do. I went straight into marketing. I knew that was what I was supposed to do, but I couldn't really even conceptualize what I was supposed to do next, as far as even just starting the next 2 chapters, even though, obviously I wanted to be shortlisted. And in this past week, since that list has come out, I've gone back and I've had to sit there and think about, okay, why did I start this again? Which, you think would be like so obvious. Like I started it with an idea in mind, and I had a story I wanted to tell, characters I really, really wanted to be able to share with you guys. But I was still feeling like a disconnect from my own characters, from the story that I had just spent 2 solid months working on, not including all of the prep from the beginning of the year when I first said that I was going to be working on this and started like kind of thinking about this in an actual story format and not just as concepts of an idea, right? And I realized, I'm not the same creator that I was when I started this, which again might sound like kind of crazy to say, because you're sitting there like, how could you not be the same creator? Like you literally, it's only been a few months, right? That sounds like a little bit dramatic, but I also think really I'm not even the same creator that I was when I was immediately debriefing from the contest submission. I know the type of person that I was like when I first started this. Obviously I had the idea, I had the goal, and I tend to be very good, I think, at setting a goal and saying I'm going to commit to like finishing this or doing this by this year. And that tends to happen. I can, outside circumstances, I can generally set a goal and get to it. Might take a little bit more time than I originally thought, because again, I can be a little bit delusional with my timeline, and I have a slight superiority complex where I think, oh yeah, the thing that like it's my first time doing, I can totally do that in like 2 days, 1 day, whatever. That's obviously not the case. So I have to give myself a lot of grace in my own timeline of things when I think it's going to take me a certain length of time and then it doesn't. But here I am now trying to figure out again, what did I love so much about this? Because obviously, again, I had something that I wanted to say. I had some things that I wanted to share. And in thinking about that, that was actually kind of the point of even making this video. Because I got to this point in thinking about my characters, and I won't talk about it too much because I don't really want to use this fully as like a promotional thing for my story. There's other videos on my channel that you can obviously go to hear me talk about my story more in depth. There'll be links down below in this, but just as a kind of general overview, so you guys can follow my train of thinking with this, my story focuses a lot on love, grief, and relationships at its core. And my main character, Cari, is a Grim Reaper who helps humans move through grief and relationships. Her whole point, her whole purpose of the story, and what she's doing with Vic when we first see them in these first 3 chapters, is she is trying to help them move on from something that they've been attached to, they've been focused on all this time, and realizing, okay, you have disappointment that it didn't work out that way, that something's different than you anticipated it being earlier. But how do we help you say goodbye to that and move on to something else? So it's not just the, I'm sad about this, and recognizing how sad you are. There's a lot of merit in that, obviously, but also how do we use these feelings to move forward, and to be able to how do we use these feelings to move forward, and really to be able to attach yourself with some of the positive things from what you've learned before to the things that are coming in the future, because it's not just bad stuff, even if it didn't happen or go through like the way that you wanted it to. And in realizing that was what made me kind of come back and realize, I wanted to share that here, and be able to get back to you guys. Because one thing that I ended up doing immediately after the shortlist, obviously was, share in my disappointment with friends, with family, with you guys, and other parts of the community, and other chats and other lives and things like that. And I do think that's so important for us to be able to band together in our disappointment in that. But afterwards, in trying to reach this point where I'm like, okay, well, how do I reconnect with this story. Really, I took a break. I just dropped it. I was working on my outline. Like I had the storyboard for chapter 4 completely done, was like mostly done with chapter 5. And in the moment the shortlist came out, I was like, I think I'm just going to back out of the program. I'm just going to back out entirely. I saved it, obviously. But I'm just going to back out of it, not even look at it for a little bit. And because you just sometimes need a break. And I think that's what this contest really showed. Everybody was working so hard, and for it to just end kind of unceremoniously for a lot of us, we need that break. So again, I was trying to remember like who I was as a creator before I started this, and why I was like so driven to create this story and to get back into this. And a lot of that really just goes back into that recentering that I was talking about, where you get back into your other hobbies. For that first couple of days, knew I needed to do anything other than draw, right? I just needed the break. I didn't want to like get back into drawing or draw some other stuff. Instead, I was like, we're going to do whatever. We're going to go back and play some other video games. I'm finally going to watch these TV shows and movies that I've been putting off for forever. I have one right now. The 3rd season of Squid Game just came out. And I got to catch up because I actually didn't even watch the 2nd season, even though that came out like prior to the contest. But like when I was supposed to like have time to watch it with my full-time job and everything, I was focused on the Webtoon, and so I didn't watch that. So I'm like super behind, but I finally have time to like be able to catch up with those things. I played, I don't know how many of you guys know the game Cinnabunny. It's one of those, I think, like cozy, like brain off games for me. It was so cute. I'm still playing it. And I liked being a little bunny whose sole job was just to bake different forms of bread at her bakery and pass that off to other bunnies and try to help her family get into this kind of big bunny town. That's not how they describe it in the game, but that was my thought process of it. And it's like stuck now. So yeah, it's a little big bunny town. Obviously, I also did like some self-care things. But it was so important to me to like take that step back. And if you haven't already, if you've still been focused in like Webtoon, what do I do now with my Webtoon? I would sincerely invite you to take a step back from it. Don't even think about the Webtoon. Like, back out of it. If you're reading anything right now, maybe you just pause for like a week. You can catch up when they update again in another week, and then you'll have like 2 chapters or whatever to binge read or something like that. But I would encourage you literally to put down everything in regards to your Webtoon just for a moment, right? This isn't a like give up entirely, because I know, again, the whole point of this was so many people were saying that they wanted to give up and that they were feeling just really, really sad about it, and rightfully so. And I would encourage you in that moment then, if you're just feeling that sadness, just put down the Webtoon for a second. Trust me, it does come back around, but I think if you continue to force yourself to work on it immediately or to do all these things, you're just going to reach this point where you end up kind of resenting it, and not wanting to do it like at all, and we don't want to reach that point with our babies, because that's what this is. So yeah, I would say put that down, because now you don't have to. The good thing about us not being shortlisted is that we are not forced to put this story out in like 2.5 weeks time, right? We don't have to like focus on just trying to get it out. I don't know if this has been everybody's experience, but again, this, as happy as I am with what I was able to put out, there were some things that like I legitimately was like, man, I wish I had been able to go back, right? Had more time to do this, and I didn't. And it might not have been a perfect experience, like we ran out of time or we didn't get to do everything that we wanted to do with that. But, for many of us, this is going to be crucial in the development of the story in general. And the good news, again, about us not making the shortlist is that there's no deadline anymore. First and foremost, there is no deadline. I know Webtoon has been putting out these newsletters saying, hey, you definitely still want to promise readers or help readers expect to see you twice a month, so posting every other week or something like that, or weekly if you are hoping to one day be an originals creator. But don't think about that. Of course Webtoons want that because it drives engagement to their website, and that's exactly what they would be encouraging. But you have no deadline. I think as long as you are consistently communicating with your readers of when to expect uploads or what's going on behind the scenes, they're going to be there. I had a great experience on one of my other videos with somebody who had been reading a fan fiction I had been writing years ago and that I'm still continuing. And they found me on here and reached out, and we're still saying, they're still waiting for updates. And of course, the fanfic author curse has really kicked my butt over the past few years. Won't get into that here. But I think what I learned from that was, it really just kind of heightened the idea that the people who are there, the audience that your story is meant for, they're going to be waiting. You put it out there and they're going to continue looking for you, even if you have to take a small hiatus, even if you end up taking a break or you don't post as often as you would like to or you think that you should. People are going to be looking for you now. And I think that's one of the great things that came out of this is that whatever you just posted, whatever you worked on uploading in this time, even if you didn't get to upload and you just got to post about it and help connect with other people, you connected. You got to connect with your audience, and that is something to celebrate. So after you put down everything and you stop doing anything related to maybe artwork or Webtoon or whatever, celebrate your wins. You put so much hard work into this. I know everybody did, because this is not an easy thing. Again, Delusional J.S. at the beginning of this contest was yeah, we can get this done in a weekend. 3 chapters, it's hard. If I just focus, it'll be easy, right? It's so hard. It's so hard. She was so foolish, you guys. It's crazy. But we found our community and our audience through that, whether that's, our larger community here where we get to comment on each other's videos and lives and be able to connect with each other through that, or if it's our larger community in the sense of the audiences that we are building right now and still connecting our story with. A lot of this stuff is so important and wouldn't have happened maybe without the contest, or maybe not wouldn't have happened, but wouldn't have happened as early as right now. I know I had on my 2025 bingo card that I wanted to be able to launch my Webtoon this year. Never expected that the Webtoon contest was going to come up and that I was going to enter it. Honestly, I debated for a while if I was going to, and then realized I needed to make a very quick decision if I was, because I knew it's weird. It's I knew that it was going to take work, but then I also still convinced myself that I could do this in a weekend. Time is weird, but I think about if that contest hadn't have happened, I would still be here. Maybe without a Webtoon to show for it. I did have other plans for other stories that I'm writing, both original and obviously fan fiction alike, in case my friend from before is watching this video. I am still working on that fan fiction, I do promise. But I maybe would have worked on this other stuff, but I got to knock off so many things off of my bingo card already, just in the first half of this year. because of this Webtoon contest. I got to launch the Webtoon itself. I got to launch my Patreon. I reached a couple of follower goals that I was looking to do on my social media because I was posting about this stuff. There's so many things that when I get to look at it and on this bingo card, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not how things were like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, especially. And I don't know how many of you guys have like your own bingo card, but I would encourage you, after taking that step back and celebrating, to go back and literally just write down what you were able to accomplish with this. Even if it's something that seems small, like you got 1 subscriber, you got 1 comment, you got 1 like on the thing. Those are so important because your story resonated with somebody, and that was exactly the point. It may not have, the full backing and outreach of Webtoon itself with the shortlist, but it does still have meaning, and it does still inspire and encourage people, and it still connects in that way. So I do hope more people are seeing that and the value of their hard work. But again, it's like, so you get to that point, right? You have stepped away, you have celebrated your wins, and now you're still wondering, well, how do I connect with my why again, right? You might even think, well, the why was just to get the story out, or the why was to do this. And that might be true. And if you're already there, great. You don't need really motivation for that, and that's totally okay. But if you're wondering, well, how do I get back to that? I think reconnecting with your why and your gut motivation for doing this kind of goes back into like starting small, because giving yourself small goals to go back to, instead of like a big return where you're like, oh, I'm gonna post these 2 things and get this out anyway because I was already working on it. If you're in that stage, like, great. But if you're not, and you don't even know how to go back to working on it, like, that's okay too. Maybe just start with outlining stuff, start with the storyboard, or start long before that. Reread your webcomic on the platform. Just go back and start from the first chapter again. Reread your webcomic, go back through it, find those panels that you were so excited that like finally came together when you worked on it, and feel that excitement again. I would say definitely consider the things that you were really excited to maybe potentially be able to like share with people in the future. Maybe it's for these upcoming like 3 chapters that you were supposed to like put with the shortlist, and maybe it's something for like a future like chapter 100 or something like that. I think an easy way for me to reconnect with my why is to get back into that little bit of excitement. I wanted to, I have panels that I'm thinking of in my head, scenes where I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are going to lose your minds when we get here. I know it, and I can't share it, and it sucks. And it means I have to keep going so that we can finally get to that mind-blowing part where it's like, I can't believe you did that. And I'm like, I know. I can't believe I did either. Well, I can because I did it. But yeah, sketch that scene that you just can't wait to share, but obviously keep it to yourself so that there are no spoilers or anything like that. But reconnect with your characters, post something, an imperfect sketch of them. Don't worry about trying to make it, because so much of this contest, right, was the pressure to try to make it perfect and also finish it within the timeline, which was so hard. So take that perfection away, take that deadline out of it, and just sketch your character and post it. It's not perfect. It's, one eye might be bigger than the other, whatever. Use it and post it on your creator profile on Webtoon, since now you have one. Post it on your other sites, since you've probably been promoting through that or talking about your entry or your potential entry through that too. Go back and reconnect with just the basics of your characters, just sharing your memes, sharing the random 2 a.m. things that you're giggling about while you're on your iPad. I hope that's, a common thing and not just something that I end up doing. But, go back and share these things that, really made you excited once upon a time. Another thing you can end up doing is just find something similar that's not necessarily the Webtoon contest, but maybe just something that like helps to inspire you. For instance, again, as of recording and soon to be posting this, Art Fight is going to be starting tomorrow. And I am so excited to get back into it. That was like the one thing I was like so sad about missing. If I did get shortlisted, I was like, no, I meet so many great people through Art Fight, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to like do anything for like the first half of the month, if at all, because I knew I was like, by the time I get to like July 14th and I post everything, I might just be done. I might just like crash out, and be done. I don't mean crash out in like the general sense. I literally just mean like just crash. Like that. And like no anger, no frustration or anything like that. Like literally I might just crash and shut down and kind of disappear for a little bit. And I am so glad that now I get to be in this position where I can do Art Fight and can reconnect. Last year I got to do it's not really a furry challenge. It kind of was a challenge. I challenged myself to learn how to draw furries last year. And this year I am super excited. As we can see, I am drawing a cow. It's not a furry, it's an animal. But, thought that this would be like a fun and goofy little thing to kind of continue. But I'm so excited to be able to actually like participate in Art Fight and to be able to like actually do that this year. And that was something that, again, I was just worried that I wasn't going to be able to do. And now I do. And I know I just said like put down everything like related to art and to not do that. But like I promise, like having something where there's like a flexible deadline, but not necessarily like, you do as many as you can during Art Fight, but there's no set, you have to do 12 of these, you have to do everything like this, you have to do blah, blah, blah. You're able to engage with Art Fight in a less like serious and strict way than obviously the Webtoon contest, because you can just find a character that inspires you, draw it, post it, and then you're done. And it's such a feel good, well, it's supposed to be a feel good thing. Hopefully what happened last year does not happen this year. I would encourage everybody to remember their not TikTok. I was going to say their Art Fight etiquette, but I saw it on a post on TikTok. But yes, do remember your Art Fight etiquette when it comes to attacking people, commenting on certain attacks, and just in general, just kind of engaging with other people on that platform. But it's supposed to be a fun and feel good time. So that might be a great way, especially if you met other Webtoon artists and they're joining Art Fight as well. That might just be a great way to kind of doubly connect. Now we've spent all this time working on our own stories and trying our best to support each other through that. And so it might just be a great time to be able to like draw each other's characters. If you don't mind friendly fire, if you're on like the same team, I know I'm going to be on team crystals. I am so excited for that. But if you don't mind some friendly fire, like I would happily, like I would just be so excited to be able to draw some of the characters that I've seen. Obviously, if it counts for points, that would be even better. But if you don't mind, you're also on Team Crystals and you would like to follow me, I will also leave that link below. But I think that could be a very fun way just to be able to build up your excitement for art again. And it's so little pressure when it comes to, having to post for perfection or anything. Like obviously it's gift art and you want it to be good for the other person, but also you don't have to like meticulously make sure like every line is perfect, or like watching how other people like perceive your stuff and thinking like, oh my gosh, like does this count for enough points? Am I going to be off for that or whatever? Like you really don't have to do that. I know it is like an actual point system, in Art Fight, but it's just it's so more chill. You don't have to worry about it in the same way that you did the contest. So it might just be a great way for you to be able to reconnect with that. And none of these things are magic fixes, right? I'm not saying you're going to go through Art Fight and then suddenly you're going to become like so excited and like jump right back into your Webtoon or anything like that. Or you're going to post something as a sketch and be able to like reconnect immediately and go like, oh my gosh, yes, that's what I was missing. None of these are going to be a magic fix. Unfortunately, you might have to just keep going back through this every time you feel like you're kind of losing your interest or your excitement or anything. You might just have to do something like this again. Maybe it's not July anymore, but it's something like October, and or Art Fight isn't there, but Inktober is back around, and that might be a nice way for you to be able to get back into things. It might be another random month where there's not necessarily an art challenge that's like specific to that, but you can still always continue to draw whatever it is that you want and be able to have your characters interact or not interact, however it is. Again, if you are not going back and like redoing everything in the story, might be a good time for you to like post some like behind the scenes stuff, invite people into your creative field and how that works. But again, they're not magic fixes. It's just, there's supposed to be a starting point to helping you come back to not only yourself, but also the project that you work so hard on with gentleness, because I think that's the big thing. We worked so hard and this was a lot of high energy, and it kind of fell off for a lot of us with not being on the shortlist. And there's a lot of gentleness that you need to be able to have with yourself now. And again, this is not something where I'm speaking from like I have like reached this point and I don't even feel it anymore. And like, who was that? Like a week ago I was sad, but like now, like who cares? Who knows? I might still continue to be just a little sad about it. And, however this journey continues to go with Healing Hearts and other projects I end up working on, or whatever. Again, I might just be sad. That's okay. But I wanted to share, not just share my disappointment with you guys and talk about, how sad like these things can be, but also share my hope with you, because it's not over. The contest might be over and that door might currently be closed, but that doesn't mean that there's not room for your story. And again, I think that gets back to like even having one person who subscribed and who liked your story enough to say, yeah, I want to get updates for this. There's room for your story. It might not have been this, and that might be a good thing. So many of us struggled to fit it into the perfect box that was the genre category for this contest, so that we could hopefully even be able to like take part in it and not be disqualified. But yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to try to fit ourselves into a marketable box necessarily. Obviously, genres do still matter, but like you don't have to like fit yourself into something and think like, okay, does this work? Is this like typical for like the contest, or am I going to get disqualified because I don't follow like these story points like beat by beat like perfectly like other ones do? You don't have to worry about that anymore. And I hope that sort of freedom really does, free you up to feel more encouraged about going back into your story. Because again, just because, the contest is over doesn't mean that our stories have to be, right? It didn't work out for this, and that's okay. We may go on to become Webtoons originals if that's, our ultimate goal or something like that later on in the future. We may not. We may continue to be successful on Canvas, on other platforms, through traditional publishing, on our own websites. I'm trying to think of like so many other ways that, people continue to be successful in that, just like this. But it's like we have so much when it comes to our story. This is just a moment, really, on the larger journey that is our Webtoon and these stories that we're going to continue to share. So, I would encourage everybody, if you are feeling down about this, to, again, maybe just consider stepping away for a moment, reconnecting with something else. Find your Cinnabunny game that helps you just turn off your brain for a moment. And if that's, you being a bunny who bakes bread and then like sells it to people, and you forage mushrooms and do all this stuff, cool. If you end up playing farming sims and losing yourself, and that helps you out, RPGs, whatever. And it doesn't have to be even video games. Like I obviously have like an entire bookshelf behind me, so you can get back into reading. Trying to think of like other hobbies, like something that just helps you reconnect and like find a little bit of joy in things, like, I have, I'm trying to see if I can like reach it without doing stuff. I have like these little like Lego things. I love these things like so much. And you can get them, like the small ones, for pretty cheap. They're like $10 sometimes, but they're so cute, right? And it's just like, I just get to make it. It's like maybe 30 minutes of me sitting around putting something together, and then I sit back and I just feel so accomplished. And it's such a cute little decoration like on the side in my room and things like that. So, find things like that. Find something that makes you so excited. It's so small. It's like, it's just not, this like big, huge thing. I'm not going to win any awards for this or anything like that, but it makes me happy, and things like that, remind me that, a lot of this was about trying to share that joy. Rereading your story again. So trying to get back in touch as if, you're a first time reader, and trying to get back in touch with the story that you made. Because even looking at that, like when I think about what the storyboards look like, and then I go back to the lining and the coloring, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think at one point in time, I don't have it recorded, but there was like one point in time where I zoomed out and I was looking at all of my pages in Clip Studio, and I was like, oh my gosh, I made a Webtoon. I was like, that's so cool. Like, I made a Webtoon, and I've never made one before, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I thank everybody who had tips and tricks on YouTube and Reddit. You guys were so helpful in more ways than you can imagine. But I can sit back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really did make that, and it's just like every other art piece that I end up making, where it like starts off maybe looking a little wonky at first, but after I get by like the coloring and the shading thing, I'm like, oh my god, okay, this is coming together. I thought past JS was losing her mind a bit when I looked at it, but you know what? I see the vision now. I can remember what this was about, and that's the important thing. It's about remembering, what you wanted to do with this, what goals you had in mind, even if it was just connecting with one person, being able to share some laughs if you were in comedy, being able to excite and entice people if you were action, adventure, thriller, mystery, even being able to connect and share some heartfelt stories if you were romance or drama or anything like that. It's just being able to connect and remembering what that felt like, what drove you to the contest, besides the validation, besides like, the minor publicity, right? Because they weren't really promoting it. But besides that, what drove you to do it? And so I hope you guys will feel encouraged to continue your stories, and that will help you to be kinder to yourself And to your story, to give yourself that grace and to remember that, this may not have been shortlisted, but that doesn't mean that there's not still room for your story, and that there's not still something out there that is going to continue to connect with others. This was the starting point for so many of us, just to be able to get it out there and to no longer say, I have an upcoming Webtoon. I've been saying I have an upcoming Webtoon since 2022. And in 2025, I'm no longer saying I have an upcoming Webtoon. I can say I am a Webtoon artist. Wow. that's my goodness. So hopefully you can feel the same way. Maybe it's not as long, maybe it's even longer, who knows? But this contest has allowed you, or maybe you revamped, your old one on Canvas, because you still have a love for that story and you wanted to reinvigorate it for this. And that gave you the inspiration it needed to help bring your story to the next level. That's great too. You were already a Webtoon artist, but now you have something where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, have you seen this story? Like, look at this story. You have a new excitement for it. And so I hope that continues to inspire you guys, that you don't just look at the shortlist as a door that's closed and therefore a kind of end to one part of your journey, but you look at it in the bigger picture, which is, you posted, you're here, and whether or not it was perfect or it was the thing that you were the proudest of when it comes to the entry, it's out there. It's out there now, and it's already connecting with people. It's connecting you, and it's a piece of you that you get to continue to share with each other. So I hope you will continue your stories. Do let me know if you guys also have some other ways that you like to help yourself kind of recenter and reconnect, so that you can find your own motivation. Let's just do that. Let's just share ways that help you reconnect with your story, with things in the face of disappointment, in the face of maybe hardship, because again, this is hard work. It wasn't just all fun and games. There were a lot of denials of things that we wanted to do, people we wanted to hang out with, whatever. And now we get to kind of come back into that and kind of reinvent ourselves with that too. We get to reintroduce ourselves to these things that we wanted from forever ago. So, share with us how you like to help yourself reconnect with your story, or remind yourself of what you wanted to do when you're feeling discouraged and when you're feeling down about something. If you don't win a contest, or if you're just not feeling like you're reaching as many people, how do you continue to push yourself to that point where others might feel really, really tempted to give up? I hope maybe that will help to be able to see each other's ideas on that. If you weren't able to resonate with mine, maybe it'll resonate with somebody in the comments, or maybe somebody will resonate with yours if you end up leaving one. But yeah, that's kind of the end to my debrief session. It wasn't a brief session at all, but we have a lot of feelings with this. This was a lot of hard work. This was a lot of time. And it's okay if you end up having really, really big feelings with this. It makes sense, obviously, to feel that disappointment. Be careful in how you express it, though. I understand, some people might be feeling some anger, and I've been seeing some of that going around. But let's remember that everybody worked hard in this contest, and we can't validate some and invalidate others, so if you're not at a point yet where you can wholeheartedly put your support behind those who have been shortlisted, that's okay. It might take a moment for you to be able to get to that point. But let's make sure we're not also tearing down others with that, because this is an opportunity for all of us to be able to connect with each other and our audiences, and we want to make sure we don't ruin that for others or ruin that for ourselves by using a moment of anger to spread something really, really hateful. But I hope you guys will continue to be along with me for this journey for not only my Webtoon. I have some things kind of coming up in the future where I do want to go back and break down how I went about outlining and storyboarding my stuff. In case that's helpful to somebody in the future who might still be in their upcoming Webtoon phase, to help push you into the Webtoon artist phase. I have some of those planned. I also have obviously other things on my channel, like the gaming, some more art commentary, especially around Art Fight, as that comes up, that I will be talking about, and I am looking forward to it, and I hope that you guys are too. So I will see you guys in the next one. Again, take care of yourselves, have those self-care moments, take care of each other, make sure you connect with each other, and I hope you are looking forward to connecting with your story, because I certainly am. See you guys later. Bye.